is going to be the first installment of my tips, guides. I don't give a shit what you call it. So this is going to be on Osiris. Okay. Osiris right now is one of the strongest soul eaters in the game. He's been that way for a while. He picked up a few buffs they didn't really need, but that was a while ago when people were not playing him for no reason. On Osiris, always start Death Soul. If you start Bluestone, I'm gonna kill you. Like, just don't start Bluestone on Osiris. It's just stupid. I'll get to that in a minute. Death Soul boots 1. Lots of different starts you can do with this character. You can choose to either start with your 2 or your 1. Personally, I prefer the 1. Allows you to stack up your passive a lot quicker. You just toss it out, and you know, that shit over here. Stacks up a whole lot quicker, and you know, honestly, getting to lane, you're gonna want that damage mitigation. Just I usually start off with stacking it up, usually like 5 times, because by the time you're in lane, you're gonna end up using your 1 again, and then you know whatever. And you can start with your 2. It will help your clear a little bit early. But I'm not a huge fan of it because the way I like to clear with them, and I'll explain that in a minute. Yeah. So, some people with the Death Toll Boots 1, they like to start with Sunder because, you know, it just allows them to straight up kill the other person. Honestly, it kind of depends on who you're laying against and, you know, in kind of your playstyle as well. Personally, I'm a big teleport guy. Just fucking safe as shit. Like, back really quickly and buy boots, and then you can like literally just kill your opponent. It's pretty crazy. On the subject of boots, just real quick, Ninja Tabby or Warrior Tabby are really only options here. I played a little bit with Ninja Tabby. I played a lot with Warrior Tabby. I'm liking Warrior Tabby a lot better actually. It just, your 1 swings really hard because of the buff they gave it, and the 2 swings really hard because again the buff they gave it. It's really crazy. And usually, on the topic of clearing, I'm going to circle right back around to that. As you can see, the minion waves are meeting up. Usually, you just want to start with the brutes up front. If you're, whoever you're laying against, right? If it's like a Wukong or whatever, they're going to want to be up front here. What I do, I just stick them with the 1, and then I walk back to the archers, and it groups up all 6 of them because you're going to aggro them for like a second, maybe. And again, now I have 6 stacks on my passive, so I'm going to be taking close to like 0 fucking damage. I wish there was an enemy I could hear. But literally you're walking up to the backs, you hit them with your 1, and then you just start hitting the back ones. And all the front brutes will circle back to you. So then you'd be hitting all 6, healing for an absurd amount, and moving your wave into a position that they wouldn't be able to clear as easily, especially if it's a character like Bologna, which, you know, most of the time you're going to be going up against. You know, she's going to want to hit you with the bludgeon and then slam down right here on your archers, which will group your archers up and then fuck up your clear. So you want to hit her with the sickle as she goes to do that, and then just hit the archers, and it'll pull the brutes back, and then you just hit all 6 together. You really won't be taking like any damage just because Death Soul's broken as fuck, and it gives you 100 health, and your passive is like almost fully stacked. And the reason it's really good to have your passive stacked at like 6 or 5, 6 or 7 rather than just at 8 is because once you hit that 8 stacks, you get what, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and after those 6 autos, you're back down to nothing. And you really got to pay attention to that with Osiris. That's literally the main thing that people have trouble with as Osiris, is they don't pay attention to their passive. And, you know, if I'm running around with 1 hand missing, I'm not going to be reducing as much damage as I could be. Now, as far as boots go, I'm going to pick up Warrior Tabby here. I shouldn't have unleveled. I'm going to pick up a few levels here. It doesn't really matter. And at level 3, obviously, you have a choice to either put another level in your 2 or in your 3. Kind of depends on, it's really situational, honestly. usually 3 is the right choice, and then 2. You know, most of the time you won't be able to back until you're like at least level 5, unless you pick up a really early kill. But yeah, let's say I'm level 6 or whatever, and I pick up Warrior Tabby, 183. It's a pretty hard fucking swing, considering, you know, I have like 1,000 health. It's almost 200 damage, as compared to, come on man, hurry up. You know, 170. I'm losing like 15 damage, but this early on, that's a lot actually. And honestly, as Osiris, what you're mainly going to want to do is just auto cancels. So like 1 2 cancel on 2, 1 2 1 2, you know, it's, and you can auto cancel with your 3 again, don't forget, you know. So it just stacks up the damage a lot faster. And also, you know, your auto attacks are going to be hitting a lot harder with power boots than it will be with, you know, with Ninja Tabby. So honestly, personally, I prefer power boots. I'll go a little bit more on the build later. So pretty much with Osiris, it's all about auto canceling and, you know, stacking up your passive and really just bullying out the enemy. Now with Osiris, you really just want to keep hitting 1 2 all game. Just anytime they ever try and come up to that wave, just hit them with 1 2, and don't ignore the minions. You know, pay attention to them, right? Because they will do damage to you, but like honestly, God damn it. I'll wait for the next wave. Don't be afraid of the other laner, because you are a really, really strong bully early on. And, you know, as you see, I have no breastplate right now. Let me just stack up my passive a little bit. Fuck. You know, I'm tanking all these archers and all the brutes. They did very little damage to me, and I wasn't even auto-attacking them. And now I'm back to full health. Yeah. Osiris is a solo laner that really doesn't require the blue buff. Like, yeah, it's really, really nice to have it, so then you can just always just 1 2 1 2, you know, and just constantly always use it off cooldown. Just keep your passive stacked and, you know, keep bullying out their health bar. Typically, you don't want to hit the minions with your shit. And honestly, I'm not a big fan of leveling your ult here. All it does is really just increase the damage by a bit. And, you know, increasing the damage to your 1, oh shit, is going to be a lot more useful. And I'm throwing my abilities off of the wave there on purpose, because if I throw them over there where he's supposedly the imaginary guy is, my imaginary solo laner, wow, you know, I'm not hitting the creeps, meaning I'm able to heal up fully with Death Toll, right? Again, I'm moving my wave even further towards his tower, and I'm doing more damage to him. And because I have full passive, he's doing like nothing to me, and I'm healing with like Death Toll, which is absurd. Double starter is an option, right? But you don't end up with like 1,000 potions like some people. I kind of want to circle back around to starts right quick. So some people do the Death Toll Mark of the Vanguard start. It's good. You're really, really tanky, and you're probably not going to die early. But like, if the jungler comes in and does a bunch of damage to you, then you kind of get poked out really easily, and you have no potions to sustain. So they can kind of zone you from the wave pretty early on. So you do have to kind of be careful if you are starting the Death Toll Mark of the Vanguard, and it's against a team that knows how to play against it anyway. So, because you won't have any of these potions. Another start that fuck people are doing is they'll do like chalices and then like health potions or something. because again, Osiris really isn't that mana hungry. I'm not a huge fan of chalices at all, really, because if I do show up to lane and I realize that I really don't need these health potions, like if I start the game with my normal start, I get 4 and 4, and I back and I have almost enough to finish breastplate, then like I'm just gonna sell a few potions to finish it, you know. And I'll talk about that in a minute. So yeah, then upgrading abilities. That's another thing. Always upgrade your 2 first, or almost always anyway. I would say always. It swings really hard and it's pretty difficult to miss. 290 plus about 40, and that's just with Death Toll and boots, you know. And then, you know, this swings for like 240 plus 20, you know. So this isn't like a cheap shot. It swings pretty hard, but this just swings harder and is a lot harder to miss. And then you have the damage reduction on this, which is, you know, pretty much why you want to stick to people. Or it helps you stick to people without taking like any damage, because, you know. And then the reason I really don't upgrade this. So, upgrade this because it does a shitload more damage than everything else. Only 10-second cooldown is really not long at all. This has a 5-second cooldown. This is why I upgrade this second, 9 times out of 10. So with this being 5 seconds, I can just constantly just keep throwing it at him, right? Again, stacking in my passive, and with it hitting even harder, you know, I'm gonna have one shot with this, and if I miss it, then I'm gonna have to wait 90 seconds before I can use it again, you know. And generally, you're not gonna miss it because, you know, you're doing this, where you're like right on top of them, and by the time they're stunned, then you just ult right on top. So in general, it's pretty difficult to miss this unless you're just freehanding it, to which case, you know, it is missable. Shit. But like, what? You get an extra 100 damage each upgrade, you know? Whereas this, you know, I get, what? 40, 45 damage an upgrade, you know? Every 5 seconds, that's kind of a big deal. I'm going to hit this a lot more, like, than this sort of thing. Because this is always going to be up, and I'll just be constantly stacking it on them. Constantly slowing them for 20. And always, 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 again, 1 and 2. Because if you hit the 1, then it's 20%. Hit the 2, then it's 40. And then you also get increased movement speed. Meaning, they're literally not moving away from you. Now, if you are behind and you're like kind of getting the work, which as Osiris is kind of difficult, you might want to consider upgrading your 3 first because of the damage reduction. But like, if you're behind as Osiris, then you're gonna kind of have a rough time for the rest of the game, buddy. I'm sorry. Like, being behind in the solo lane with really almost any warrior is kind of difficult, because, you know, most of what you do is I have to get close to people to do most of my damage. Yes, with Osiris he can poke them fairly well from afar, but really he wants to stick to them and just slow, reduce all of their damage to your, because this doesn't only reduce their damage to you, this reduces their entire damage to your entire team. So if they have, say, a Zeus, who drops, say, his ult on my entire team, and, you know, I ult right on top of him, and then I pop my 2, then I stick to him, slow, and it speeds me up. He's not going anywhere. All of his damage is being reduced, and he's going to get stunned soon. So my entire team that's inside of his ult is taking, what, 30% plus 5% per second reduced damage? That's pretty big. And it, you know, he can be really good in team fights. Other warriors are usually stronger than him in team fights, and that's why they're usually picked over him, or they used to be anyway. But really in team fights with Osiris, all you're going to want to do is just slow, stick to one person, you know, tether them, reduce their damage, make sure they get out of the fight. Either force them out or kill them. And, you know, that's your main job as Osiris. With other characters like Amma or Hercules, you're going to want to be disrupting, slowing, sticking more with your team. You know, it depends on, you know, the character you're playing. But Osiris is, you know, all about take one person out of the fight, whoever it is. Say there's like a Hoyi or something. Just slow, you know, get on top of him. He leaps away, then like, boom, you just leap right on top. You know, get him out of the fight. So then he can't damage your team, and your team pretty much wins the fight, you know, 4v4. You know, depending on if you're able to zone him and then come back. Now, personally, I like to upgrade the 3 before I upgrade my ult, just because I feel like the damage reduction is really, really strong. And really, the main reason you're ulting is for the anti-heal, not for the damage on it. It's some for the damage, some for the movement, and then some for, you know, for the anti-heal. So, like if you're getting ganked, then you kind of want the movement to be able to like get over the wall or whatever to get away from whoever's ganking you. So on to builds. All right. Obviously, Sunder is really, really OP. After the nerf that it's actually getting, because they actually decided to nerf this item. So I believe... So they reduced this... They reduced the damage taken by 10%. So instead of 15%, it's 10%. And then instead of 25% here, it's 15%. Which I think is the actual nerf it needed. Because it was way too fucking strong. Still don't pick up this item because anti-healing counters the ever-living fuck out of it. The only time you're ever allowed to buy this item is if you have literally no healers on your team. And, you know, make sure they don't have any healing or any anti-healing because it's a stupid item. Don't buy it. Honestly, Frenzy's gotten a little bit better. Shell has gotten really good. Supports tend to like these because of how big of a nerf the meditation got. Blink isn't terrible on certain characters. On Osiris, Blink is pretty terrible. Honestly, I like Horrific Emblem. Because of how shit Sprint is right now, because it only cleanses slows rather than actually like immunes them. Horrific Emblem can be really, really strong. Not only reducing their movement speed, but again, attack speed being a really, really important stat. You know, if you run into a fight, and again, it's not a huge radius, but like your job is to 6 to somebody, and if you slow them with your 1, your 2, and then you hit them with the Horrific Emblem. Also remember, it's getting a cooldown decrease in the next patch, 4.10. You know, you're going to end up sticking to them, and they can't do anything. Their attack speed's going to be reduced, the movement speed's going to be reduced, and they're pretty much dead. So, you know, I think that Horrific Emblem could be a really, really big pickup for Osiris, especially after 4.10. Again, Frostbound's an item that I really, really like on Osiris because, again, it stops them from moving away from you. And, you know, some people buy Hasten because they're idiots, but just buy Wingblade. 300 health and you get pretty much the same effect, less attack speed, but they can't slow you. Meaning, if they decide they want to use a Horrific Emblem on you, or if they want to, like, a lot of characters in this game have slows, you know, Ra, Poseidon, you know, Rama. There's a whole list of characters in this game with slows. If you pick up a Wingblade, they literally can't escape you. So, this is later in the build, of course. I'm going to start off with the very beginning. Right now, Mystical Male Osiris is actually crazy strong. You can literally ignore the creeps once you get it finished, and then you just fight non-stop. Like, this person has nothing to do to fight you, and you just body them. I'm not a huge fan of Mystical Male right now. it's really, really fucking expensive. And it does give you 300 health and 40 protection, but again, it's really, really expensive. Also, the fact that Mystical Mail is an amazing item, but this item's total ass. Steel Mail and Iron Mail are both really fucking terrible. Well, Iron Mail mainly, but Steel Mail is really bad as well. So, like, you know, the tier 1 and tier 2 for this item are really, really awful. You know, 20 protections is 200 health and 75 health. 75, that's terrible. You know, again, Silver Breastplate's not great with 35 protections, but like that's only 950 as compared to like 1400, you know? For the price, this is not good at all. This is amazing. Really expensive, but amazing. I personally like to go into Hide Enemy Line, and I'll explain that in a minute. I should talk for a second about this. A lot of people, you should definitely build this item after boots, by the way. Don't build this before boots. You just look stupid. They go into round shield and then a gladiator shield. Now this isn't terrible, considering again Osiris is all about, you know, spam your abilities. Your one has a 5-second cooldown, for God's sake. If you're hitting them like that every time, then you're just getting constantly healed every time. You know. This can only trigger once per ability. You know. But I mean this. You know, 2.5% of your HP, and again Osiris doesn't have any healing in his kit. He has anti-healing and a lot of slows and damage reduction and, you know, percent damage mitigation with his passive. So, you know, when I hit an ability on somebody, again, you know, my 1, my 2, you know, the 1 has 5 seconds. You know, so this is not a bad build. 45 protections and 15 power. This will help you bully them out earlier. So I can't understand this. This is not bad at all. And it's not that I don't like this start. I haven't played with it a whole lot, but you know, again, you're constantly using your 1, you're constantly using your 2. And it gives you a tiny bit of CDR. So, you know, again, this is like what, 1 second off. This is 0.5 of a second off, so it's not a huge change. What I have seen is people buy this on Bologna. Don't buy this on Bologna. Please, ever. Don't. You need to stop. That bitch has like 16-second cooldowns on like all 3 of her main abilities. Stop buying it on Bologna. I've seen it happen like twice, and like literally I saw it happen in relegations. Don't do it. It's stupid. I'm talking about Mando Warrior, man. Don't do that. You're dumb. You don't know how this game works. Don't buy this item on Bologna. Bologna with this item is actually probably the worst item Bologna could buy. Bologna doesn't really want CDR because their abilities have such a long cooldown, and really what she wants to do is stick in a stance. You know, she wants to switch stances as much as she can, but you know, with CDR it's not going to help her that much. Her ult already has like a 75-second cooldown on Bologna, so like that's a really good cooldown for an ult. This item's not giving you anything. You really don't want this item on Bologna. With Osiris, this item is actually really fucking strong, and you know you can really utilize its benefits with your 1. I'm kind of rambling here. The reason I like Hide Enemy in Line first is, again, he doesn't need the CDR. His 1's already like 2 seconds, you know? It's pretty ridiculous, the fact that you can just keep spamming shit. And this item's really, really cheap. Gives you a lot of protections. And it's going to help you, you know. It's not really, really cheap. Like, let's be honest. This item's much cheaper, yes. But again, 2,200 gold for 80 protections? That's actually insanely cheap. Also, considering the fact that a lot of hunters right now are building into crit because the, you know, because the buff that Rage got, right? So, you know, what the fuck? Rip me. Anyway, because the buff that Rage got, a lot of hunters is building into crit, and you know, a lot of hunters are also not building into lifesteal because you don't really want to take your time to stack devos. This item's a fuckload of gold. This item is not a hunter item anymore. I'm surprised they didn't even take it out of the game. Like, what is this item? It was good at the beginning of the season. Not anymore. They nerfed it a lot. And then this item's actually amazing, but like, just pick up Ichabod and you're good to go, sort of thing. Ichaival is much better than Aussie in like every fucking way. So, you know, it's just way easier to box. So a lot of people are just not picking up lifesteal on hunters, making this item even more beneficial. 25% of your, you know, big time crits that you're hitting with Rage and Deathbringer on me, and, you know, that's being sent straight back to you as a hunter, which you're not going to be able to handle. Again, Osiris is all about sticking to people. I get on your hunter, and I, you know, if I jump on top of your hunter, I have Hide Enemy and Lion. Ah, fuck me. I didn't mean to step in that. I hate that. Ugh. I spent forever getting my levels back. Alright. Oops. You know, if I stick on your hunter, I come up to them and, you know, I slow them, and I use my 2, or I use my 3, you know. They're doing reduced damage. They're slowed from my 1 and my 2, so that's 40%. Getting another, what, 40% from this, you know, plus minus 25% of their attack speed. Also, they're doing, you know, 25% of their health, or not 25% of their health, but, you know, 25% of the damage they do to me is going back to them. Plus, I'm going to pick up Frostbound, so you're not going anywhere. Not there, but yeah, I you know, you're not going anywhere. So, literally, you can't escape me. And you're doing a shitload of damage to yourself, and I'm doing a shitload of damage to you. You can't really damage me because I'm Osiris, and my passive is going to be pretty much stacked almost at all times. You know, again, always pay attention to this. 5 out of 8, you know, is a good spot to be. 5, 6, 7 is really good. And also, don't forget, when you do actually fully stack it, you get a Fatalis effect. So, you know, walking into a fight with a Fatalis effect active, you know, they literally can't stop you running straight at them when you have, you know, a Wingblade and a Frostbound. Actually, I usually swap what order I build these in. So, you know, you come walking at them with, you know, Wingblade, I get an extra 10% movement speed. You know, Frostbound, I'm reducing your movement speed. You can't slow me. I have multiple slows for you. You know, and the main movement speed item that hunters are buying, because hunters, literally, this is all the movement speed they can get, because, you know, they kicked them out of this tree because people were building stone cutting on hunters because they were, like, actually disabled, like melee basics. They don't know how to read. Anyway, you know, the only real attack speed or the only real movement speed item they want other than boots is maybe hasten. And after the nerf, having it cost 2,600 gold, they're not getting this item till like very late game, if at all. You know, again, it gives no power, only 20%, but it does give pen, which is really strong. And it's 2,600 gold. Like, that's actually a lot of fucking cash. You know. So I'm going to have more movement speed than you with my boots and my Wingblade. I'm going to have a shitload of health, a shitload of protections, because I have, you know, Spirit Rope. If you CC me, I'm going to take literally, like, no damage, because I get damage mitigation from here. I get damage mitigation from here. I get damage reduction from here, you know. So there's almost nothing you can do to stop my Osiris coming at you, you know. And then, of course, the last item, pick up literally whatever your team needs. Usually, you're going to want some sort of magical protection, a Bulwark or Pestilence, depending on if they do have healing. Most of the time, they have healing, so Pestilence is a pretty good idea. It shuts down more lifesteal if they even have it on them. Again, you know, for some reason, it's not going to be here. For some reason, a lot of people aren't building Pythags. I don't know why, but, you know. And again, this Wingblade is also going to give me more attack speed, so it'll allow me to, you know, apply my Frostbound Hammer a lot more. And, you know, if they do have a lot of healing on their team, like Sylvanas, Terra, I don't know, Afro, Hell, Chang'e. If Hell's in the game, like, you automatically won already. But, like, if they do have, like, a Chang'e or something with a lot of healing, you can obviously pick up a Witchblade. Again, reducing the attack speed of the hunter, but, you know, again, these are kind of counterintuitive. You know, the aura from this item doesn't stack with this. It just kind of cancels it out. The one with the, hold up. Attack speed reduced by 20%. And attack speed reduced by 15%. So yeah, the slow is still here for this item. but the attack speed reduction is going to win the day on this one. So it's only going to reduce it by 20%. But still, you're going to get the anti-healing passive on this because, you know, 15% reduced healing stacks up to 3 times. That's pretty big. You know, also you stack that with Pestilence and a Witchblade, and you get a Brawlers on your team, or, you know, Divine Ruin's actually really, really good right now. I didn't even hit that creep, by the way. That's pretty sad. And you upgrade this, and it reduces the cooldown. Again, you know, people aren't really going to be able to escape. Also, if you notice, if they don't have a lot of healing, 9 times out of 10, you're just going to go with Wingblade. Because, you know, again, this is 20% CCR here, 20% CCR here, so that maxes you out. So, you know, stuns are going to be, like, nothing to you. You know? Not only are you going to get reduced damage, but you're also going to get out of the stun quicker. And you're pretty much going to be flying at them, and they're not going to have anything to stop you. Again, in team fights, you know, you're not going to be the most relevant. You're mainly just going to want to peel for your, or not peel, but you're just going to want to, like, go straight out for one of their carries. Either the, you know, the mage or the hunter, whichever one's doing more work to you. Again, talk about his autos. The first 2 are going to be just single target, and then the next 2 are going to be AoE, cleave autos. So, you know, whenever you're clearing, you're doing your buffs or whatever, you know, make sure to stay in the correct distance away so you can hit the entire camp. And then, you know, remember to stack up your passive as much as possible. I'm trying to remember if there's anything else that I'm forgetting. Don't think so. Runeforge wouldn't be a terrible pickup. You probably end up swapping it here. But yeah. For the most part, this build is what I would follow, something along this line. Again, a lot of physical protection, a lot of magical protection, and a lot of health is really what you're looking for. You know, I haven't maxed out. Hold up. I think I'm gonna end up somewhere around 3,000, and that's usually what you want. You know, because you are gonna be the front line for your team, so you do want to be fairly bulky. Just to make me feel better. 2975, so almost 3k health. And you do have 197 and 168. So, you know, protections aren't absurdly high, but you do have a good amount of health. And remember, you're going to be near your Guardian for the pretty much the end of the game. You know, so they're going to have, what, the 3 aura items. So that's, you know, 20, another 20, and then 30. So this is going to be increased by 50, and this is going to be increased by 40, you know, so it's definitely not bad. Actually, one thing I almost forgot about. Shoguns is actually really, really strong. I don't usually pick it up because the Guardian I like to play with, or my support that I play with, he usually likes to pick it up. But Shoguns is actually really, really strong, increasing the attack speed of everybody by 25 fucking %. It's ridiculous. You do end up with less health again, you know, 2,700. Not great, but it's not terrible. You know. So overall, something along this. You can again swap out this for this, but you know, you're gonna have less physical for late game, and also you're not gonna end up getting the 25% reflect damage. I think that's about it. And again, if you do start with this Gladiator's Shield, it's definitely not a bad idea, because you know, you can start with this, and then later on in the game you can just sell this out and pick up the Hide Enemy in Lion or whatever. However, I'm not a huge fan of buying one thing and selling it later sort of thing, because again, you're gonna lose like what, a third of the gold, I think. And honestly, this is only 2,200, so it's fairly cheap on its own. And you know, you get almost double the protections. Plus you get an P5, and that's always nice. Not that you really need it with Osiris, but it's nice. So yeah, that's about it. I hope you guys enjoyed the video, and, you know, hopefully you can remind me if I forgot to mention anything.